Hey there, Justice 3 TV, it's me, Authorian, and welcome back to your daily dose of Marvel Strike Force. So for today's topic, I'm going to go ahead and cover the topic of positioning the new Red Hydra team. I'm calling them Red Hydra. And so to get things started, I figured I'm going to show you guys how I read a particular team and how I'm positioning them on the field, so that way, especially a team like this being in war defense, positioning can matter a whole lot. I do actually have a particular method of looking at the line. When you're looking at positioning, I read left to right and I number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, 1 and 5 obviously being the edge positions, and 2 and 4 are the rear guard. There are some things that I will determine beforehand, and being able to really kind of strategize where I'm going to put these guys on the field so that they're most effective. First thing you should determine is what's most important to the team at this point, given the characters and their abilities, especially one that synergizes so well with one another. You got to decide who are the most valuable characters on your field. Now, normally we'd go ahead and take into account who's your tank and what are the capabilities of the tank, but now we actually have to determine who's the most important people on the field, since it deals a lot with synergy. Now, there are two major players here, and that would be Red Skull and Sniper. And I actually value Sniper above Red Skull being the number one protected character on the team for a couple of different reasons. Now, both of them will give out speed to the entire team, so they are equally as important. Red Skull obviously empowers the entire group, but when you're talking about battlefield effectiveness, Sniper is what brings the heat. I value the Sniper as the highest on the team because of what he provides the team to do, which is he's going to be giving out lots of speed for everybody else on the team, and not only that, but gives speed up to himself. He's actually a pretty speedy guy on the field as well, but his special. Now, with all the speed that's floating around on the field, getting everybody's abilities triggering off as fast as possible, his special is actually really cheap also, so that's going to be going off very often. But here's the most important part. The Sniper actually manipulates two of the most important aspects of any turn-based strategy game, which is speed and speed bar, and that's what the special does. Potentially, you could be increasing the speed bar for the entire team up to a whopping 60%. That is most of the way to a free turn already, and that's going to be popping off quite often given how fast this entire team actually is. Now, that being said, not only is the Sniper the most valuable in my opinion, but he's also the weakest player on the field, so he needs to be protected. And I use an insulating strategy when it comes to the kind of tank that this team actually has. Now, the Hydra Armored Guard is the tank that we're looking at, and it's another character, minion character, whose taunt is very fast, very Hulk-like. 3 charges and he pops that off really quickly, which gives survivability to the entire team, but most importantly, it's going to let you know where the attacks are going to be coming from, and you always need to keep in mind, is the other team going to be doing chain attacks, and if they do, how am I going to best protect the entire team, but also protect my MVP of the squad, Hydra Sniper. Now, before we get into where we're going to be putting everybody, I do look at 2 major aspects of each character when determining where I'm going to place the tank and everybody else on the field, which is HP and armor. Of course, guys, there's always loopholes and ways around things like armor, but for the sake of argument, this is the safest, best strategy that you can think about when reading your line. And this is actually going to change for each one of your characters on a whole, because stars, red stars, will affect these numbers a lot. As of right now, I got a pretty good build across the board so far. I've been building them up ever since before Red Skull came along. And as of right now, each character does have a pretty comparable and baseline HP to armor ratio. I'll go ahead and spout those off for you right now. I'll show you actually. So whenever I'm trying to remember where I'm placing characters, I always think in terms of like number ratio, which here I'm counting HP in tens of thousands and armor in just thousands. Sometimes I'll go over, to like, in my head it's point whatever, the closest to 5 or rounding up. But here we're looking at, when I'm thinking of, Hydra Scientists HP and armor, it's 8 to 4.5. Here we got the Hydra Rifle Trooper, which is a 9 to 4, which is actually a really decent amount of HP compared to the rest of the team. But, according to certain projections from different resources, that will change based on stars and red stars in the end. But for right now, on my team, I'm reading high HP and a really decent armor. Here we go with our tank. He's reading at 8 to 4. Red Skull reads 8 to 3.5. The reason why I don't round up to like 4, because hundreds can matter in terms of how much damage they're going to be taking in. So I'll go to the closest 5 or 0 really. Now Red Skull is going to be one of those characters where his HP and armor will change pretty drastically depending on stars and red stars. Well, and of course gear. Now Hydra Sniper, as you can see, the lowest of the team, which is running at a 6 to 2.5. Which does put him at pretty big risk, but depending on where your development goes, he's actually going to be pretty stealthy on turn, so you should be good to just start it off, and then once the ball gets rolling on Red Skull's minions and everything, it's pretty much downhill for the opposing team from there on in. So after considering everything that's there, where am I positioning? Well, here you go. This is one of the best views that you can look at while you're blitzing because it actually gives you position. So you can start making decisions about your fight right away if you'd like. Now ultimately, what side you pick to be your edge characters doesn't matter as long as you follow the plan from one side to the other. Like I was saying before, mine is left to right, and I'm going to be protecting the sniper all the way to the right. Now since all the other characters, including the tank, have a pretty evenly build HP to armor ratio other than the Hydra Sniper, I still rated them from top to bottom for what I currently have. As the characters develop, I will still keep an eye on their HP and armor and just move them around accordingly. But what won't change is my prize, my MVP. That guy has to be protected at all costs to get this team moving at peak efficiency. Now, like I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is an insulating strategy, meaning I have my sniper all the way to one edge, and what I'm protecting him from is as much damage as possible, most specifically chain attacks, because there are no counters on this team and there's no way to protect against the chain. But what you can do is insulate it as much as possible, and given that Armored Guard has a pretty fast taunt, that should be an easy feat to take hold of. Now, given that he has that taunt, I put him on the opposite edge, obviously, to try to pull the action as far away from Sniper as possible. And then once the chain goes, every chain that happens next, depending on the team, obviously, the likelihood of that damage moving any further, it becomes less and less. Now, according to my numbers, the Rifle Trooper does have the most HP, so it's most beneficial, since most of their armor is pretty evenly matched, the best suited to take that second hit. Now, third, Hydra Scientist. And last but not least, Red Skull. Like I was saying before, he's one of those characters those stats will probably change the most throughout. So I will move him much closer to the tank as his HP and armor do go up, as long as it doesn't get outweighed by any other characters like Hydra Scientist or Rifle Trooper. But what won't change is that guard is going to stay on the opposite side of my sniper. Well, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you got some good insight on how to read your new teams and knowing how to place them. I will repeat that a lot of the times when you're dealing with any of your teams and deciding where to position them, knowing who is your most valuable character on the field will matter most, but almost equally important is knowing your tank and where the attacks are going to be headed and whether or not you can protect against the chain, or AoE for that matter. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed your content today, please drop a like on this video. It'll go a long ways to me getting to that new goal of 500 subscribers. You guys are awesome, especially you guys that I've been talking to and asking for advice. It's fun and sometimes it's even funny. And that is really my goal here, is to entertain you, hopefully get a laugh out of it, some insight obviously into our favorite game. If you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. It's always on the right hand side of the screen or in a link in the description below. So what do you guys think about my lineup? And of course, if you have some better ideas or you have some better, deeper insight into your Red Hydra team, please let me know. Give me some advice and leave those down in the comments below so we all can share in that knowledge. Because I'm telling you right now, these guys are some heavy hitters. I'll give you one major example, which is I tried to fight them in war just to learn how they're doing here and there. And I even tried to punch over these guys like 50, 60k and got absolutely demolished at 150. Now to you newer players, 150k really doesn't matter to you all that much, but once you start getting into more of the end game gold 4 type of arena of Alliance Wars, 150 you can chance it on other teams to take them down, but I'm telling you right now, don't do it. Until next time, I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video.